everyone, and welcome to Breathe Motivation. It is Friday, so I know some of you guys have made it through your work week, right? I actually started a job that's Monday through Friday. It's pretty crazy because I've always worked some kind of weekend job. So if you're out there working the weekend, I greatly appreciate you. I'll be here with you tomorrow and Sunday as well. So each day we come here daily to make sure that everybody has a little motivation each and every day. So my name is Anthony Astor. I'm the host and founder of Breathe Motivation. This is episode 106. So today we are going to talk about nothing. How's that sound? Just kidding. We're going to talk about something, but we're really talking about nothing. Nothing. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. Actually, we're going to talk about nothing is what it seems. So let me give you the definition. But first, let's recap yesterday. So yesterday we talked about perfection, right? Perfection is one of those things that it's so hard to, really try to catch, right? Perfection is something we strive for very often, and we want to be perfect, but a lot of times perfection leads us down a dark road because we're trying to chase something that is impossible because nobody's perfect, no situation's perfect, right? But we have a lot of great opportunities to learn from, creating success, a daily success, right? We're going to get our butts kicked sometimes, and understanding that we're not perfect and being able to make ourselves better is going to help us. So that's what we talked about yesterday. And again, we're going to talk about nothing. So let me start off with the definition of nothing. So it's not anything, no single thing. So it's funny, I've had some conversations this week, and it's interesting to see, nothing is what it seems, right? And I think sometimes we get so caught up in thinking that, when I look at other people and I look at other people's lives, or people look at my life, I think we all assume that, man, that person's got a better life than me, right? Or, hey, this person, has got the best life. They've got the best job. They've got the best relationship, right? So what it comes down to is a lot of times we're so focused on other things that we lose focus of us, right? So we're so focused on, this person that has a better job than us, right? But you never understand, maybe that person hates their job, right? And it looks like they enjoy it, but they just work hard because that's what they know how to do. Is they have this great work ethic. They're going to go to work no matter how miserable they are, and they're going to work their butt off because that's what they want. Or you look at, certain situations where, somebody has more money than you, right? That's one of the biggest things that I look at is, people see all these celebrities and you see these things, and guess what? These are some of the most isolated people, and they're miserable because they can't even go to a grocery store, right? Or they can't go to a movies, or they can't do any ordinary thing because guess what? Everybody's eyes are on them. So a lot of times we have this perception that other people's lives are great or their lives are miserable, and you never understand, and you're never going to understand, somebody else's life unless you really kind of step inside their shoes and understand where they're coming from. Because I know that sometimes, that was one of the biggest things that, and still is one of my biggest pet peeves is, oh man, you've got it so great. And I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, I do have some good things and I'm appreciative of those things, but I have some difficulties too. Right? So people look at certain situations and they're like, oh man, this is great. You're doing this, you're doing this. And I'm like, yeah, it is great. I'm working my butt off to get it done. Right. And it's so funny to see us, assume that everything is great. So one of the biggest things that I would challenge us to do is really focus on us internally. Because when we start to focus on the outside and we start to focus on people other than us, guess what happens? We start to create this kind of negative mindset within ourselves, right? We start to say, hey, well, this person's got such a better life than me. Why? I don't understand it. I can never get past it. I'm not good enough. You start to go down and have that talk track, turn into negative things. Or you start to see situations in avenues, right? One of the biggest things, I always like to just check in with people because I'm like, hey, how's it going? And people will be like, oh, I'm doing great. And I'm like, cool. Well, what's going so great and what's so awesome for you? And then they tell me, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. That's so awesome that you have all these great things going on. Or there's times where people are like, yeah, I'm doing great. And it's a load of BS, right? And then I'm like, are you really doing great? And you kind of ask those questions to really kind of have, communication with your friends or your family, because sometimes people are struggling with things internally that you would have no idea that are going on, right? So when I look at, certain situations that I've been in, there have been situations where, I always try to keep a positive face on, but sometimes I'm having a terrible day, right? But I try not to show that. And there's a lot of things where, I might be going through that I'm having a tough time with that, maybe nobody understands. Or maybe you're going through, some tough times in life, and you know what, nobody understands. They just see this awesome, kind of facade going on for you, and nobody ever stops and checks in to see how you're doing. So I ask you, how are you doing? What are you focused on? What kind of great things do you have going on? What negative things do you have going on? And the reason why I ask how, negative things, how can we fix those negative things? How can I turn these negative things into positive solutions for you? Or how can you do that, right? It's going to take action for us to really accomplish what we want out of life. And it's going to take action for us to really understand that we have got to, look within ourselves, and we have to kind of, take an inventory of ourselves, take an inventory of our mind and our thought process. What does my everyday thought process look like? If you wake up and you say, man, this is going to be a bad day, guess what? What are you focused on? Negative things, right? Oh, hey, man, my job sucks. Man, my life sucks. I'm not any good at my job. I'm not good at talking to people. A lot of times that's our conversation that we have with ourselves. So one thing I would tell you to do, and this is what I had to do when I was struggling with negativity and really having to really shift my mindset to positive things, I would have to ask myself, would somebody, I would look and I would imagine it in my mind of somebody else telling me the same things that I would tell myself, or that I'm telling myself. So I would I would say that, and guess what? I would be pretty pissed if somebody told me, hey, you suck, right? Your life sucks, right? So I had to challenge my thoughts and say, you know what? Why, if I wouldn't allow other people to say this to me, why would I allow other people, or why would I let myself say those things to me, right? Because at the end of the day, it does matter what you say to yourself. And it does matter how you treat yourself, right? One thing I've always struggled with, before and in my life, has been this idea that I've got to be perfect. We talked about that yesterday, right? Or I've had this idea that I suck and I'm not any good. I struggled for a long time to really accept me for who I was, to accept that I am worthy of having great relationships with friends, with family, with my wife. Right? My wife really helped me to kind of turn around my thought process and see that I have greatness within me, right? But I had to do all this hard work myself. She just helped me, she helped point it out. Why are you so critical of yourself? So I think sometimes we have to understand that nothing is what it seems. Whether your mind is tricking you to believing that you're terrible, you suck, you're not great, you're not a great writer, or you're never going to be successful in life. Our mind plays a lot of games in our heads. And we've got to understand that those games are not what it seems, right? We've got to be able to flip that thought process and understand that you are great, you are successful. I am focused. I'm going to be successful because I am an amazing person and I love myself. We've got to start understanding that we've got to take care of ourselves. We have one body, we've got one mind, and we've got one soul, right? We've got to take care of ourselves. And we've got to stop all the negativity within ourselves and outward, right? Because if we portray negativity and we spray negativity to other people, guess what returns to us? Negativity, right? And if you're not focused on growth, guess what? You're not going to grow. And other people aren't going to want to help you grow because you're putting out this idea that I don't want to grow. I don't want to help other people, I don't want other people to help me, right? We've got to understand that what we put out there is what we get back. So if I'm focused on positivity and telling people how great they are, guess what? I'm probably going to get some compliments back and start feeling a little bit better about myself as well. But we've got to help each other through that process. We got to understand that our thoughts, our negative thoughts are not what they seem. Our lives, a lot of times when we think of things or all the bad things that can happen, if you've ever had anxiety, that's all I thought about was all the negative things that could happen. And guess what? I'd say probably 9 times out of 10, nothing happened, right? Because I was so worried about things, right? Or you get so worried about a job interview and you're like, man, I blew it, right? And guess what? You got a job. Isn't it crazy how that works? Right? You had this big fear. And guess what? A lot of the things that you think about and you worry about, none of this ever transpires. So stop spending your time worrying and stressing about things that don't even matter, that aren't even real, because nothing is what it seems. You've got to understand that, and you've got to take focus and really understand where you're at and going from there and becoming a much more positive person, a much more focused person. Because at the end of the day, that's how you win, right? So I challenge you to be confident in yourself. I challenge you to be really focused on who you are and finding passion behind what you do, right? So you've got to take care of yourself and you will always win no matter what. So let me leave you with this quote. Do everything with a good heart and expect nothing in return, and you will never be disappointed. So go out there, be the best you can be for yourself. Find success within yourself. Don't worry about everybody else's life because you need to be worried about yours. And finding success within you, finding the positivity within you, and finding that you love yourself. Once you love yourself, you can give love and help to be better. So check out our website, breathemotivation.com. It's got a blog. It's got my podcast on there. So if you want to listen through there, you can as well. And just go out there and have a great weekend. So I hope you guys are doing some great things. And I hope you have a continued successful Friday. So as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. I will see you tomorrow on Saturday. Thanks.